how do we create an effective CMA? There are a lot of very, very good free CMA software. Most of our multiple listing services include either a cloud CMA or a simpler CMA. They're very, very simple to use, and most importantly, they're simple because it's simple for a prospective seller to understand while they're reviewing with you. Gather all of the detailed information about comparable properties. A really good idea would be to personally visit them. If time doesn't allow that, go look at each one specifically, separately. Look at photos, what the condition was. Often the sold listings in the multiple listing service will include information like, were there any concessions? Did anything out of the ordinary happen? It's a really, really good way to get details on sold properties. You want to always adjust based on the differences in the comparable properties. We saw the video earlier. On the outside, they looked very simple, minus what side the front door was and the color of the homes. But that's just the beginning. Make sure your analysis is the most current and competitive for the market. What I mean by current, I've had situations where I'm at a listing presentation, a particular listing that closed between the time I prepared my presentation and my actual appointment, and it wasn't on my presentation. And I looked like a complete fool because they asked me about, oh, what about the Joneses? They just sold theirs for X, and you want to maintain obviously your integrity. You apologize that it wasn't included, and you bring that into the discussion to see what it is about that specific sale that's important to them. You want to make your presentation as simple as you can. I'm old school. I still put everything in a folder. I take a folder to my sellers. At the end of the presentation, I give it to them. It has everything we discussed, some details. I just like the idea of something physical that they can touch that I'm leaving with them. But do what works for you. A lot of people use an iPad or a laptop to take their high note presentations with them. If you know that the level of knowledge and advancement of your prospective sellers is of that in terms of technology, by all means do it. They'll appreciate that type of presentation a lot more. And everything has to be customized to your clients. Whether it's the cloud-based CMA or a basic CMA, your title profile, whatever you're including in your presentation, sellers at 1234 Main Street, names, titles, address, make it very, very customized. My real estate mentor says, whoever is asking the questions in a conversation is controlling that conversation. It's very, very important that you understand this. Asking questions does a lot of things, and let's look at some of them. Why are you selling? We talked about their motivation earlier. How would we be able to properly serve them if we don't know the motivation? Why are you selling? When do you plan to move? Is it a job move? Is it a relocation for something else? You want to be near family. You want to retire in a particular place. You want a fresh start. Whatever. When do you plan to make your move? What is the most important thing you need from this sale? Is it a quick sale? Is it the highest possible dollar amount? Is it the least amount of hassle? What's most important to you? Price? Time on market? Least amount of inconvenience? Your value proposition to a prospective seller should be all three of these. You're going to sell the property at the highest possible price in the least amount of time and the least amount of inconvenience. That's what the seller is looking for in their real estate agent. Have you ever sold a home before? Even if they have, it doesn't mean it was recently. They may have forgotten. The process has evolved somewhat, but ask them, because it's Very, very important to know their level of knowledge of the home selling process. How much of the proceeds of this sale will you need to purchase your next home? Do you need to sell this home to purchase your next? Really, really important to know, because this plays directly into their motivation of selling quickly. What do you think your house is worth in this market? Never, ever, ever discuss price until you know their response to this question. Very, very important. Have you met with other real estate agents, practitioners? Am I competing with other people? Are you interviewing anyone else besides myself? Really important to know. And it's important to know because you know most of the people who are agents in your area, your competitors, and you should be able to differentiate yourself. You should be able to tell a prospective seller why you're the best agent to sell their home. And as we talked earlier in the discussion about high note, how would you measure your use of internet-based technology? Where do you stand in terms of your comfort level with technology? Your 4 primary listing objectives. Help the seller to know you, right? Trust you. Building rapport is the most important thing. We all want to work with people we like and we trust. And that starts with the first call. What I do is I have a first call questionnaire. Before I go on the listing appointment, I put this questionnaire in front of me, though I've used it, God knows how many hundreds of or thousands of times. I use it every time. It helps keep me focused, and it helps me ask all of the important questions, not forget anything. So that first call, that's where that rapport building, the likability, the trust starts. Maintain a genuine interest. You have to really want to go on this listing appointment, and that has to project in your phone call. It has to be very genuine, very professional. Be informational. Don't give them the whole listing presentation, but give them some information so that they can start to trust you and they can start to like you. Second key objective, you want to know what the seller or sellers really want from this sale. Again, by asking questions. Demonstrate to them, both in your initial phone call and at the listing presentation, that with you representing them, they are going to get exactly what they want and more or better. People often ask me what's the most important aspect in terms of when you're dealing with your clients. Many, many years ago, I adopted the concept of I work with them, not for them. We're working together as a team. And the reason I did that is because I feel it's my job to give them all the necessary information, and I help them make an informed decision. That does a few things. I'm not telling them what to do. They're making the choice. And it makes them feel as though they're part of the process, and it goes a long way towards that trust and rapport that we talked about earlier. Very, very, very important. I can't stress this enough. A few years ago, after months of using very simple, authentic, professional skills, I was able to get a listing appointment at a for sale by owner. Me and one of my then teammates, we sat around the table. We already had the rapport. We knew each other, had the discussion, talked about price, and they were ready to sign the listing agreement. Unfortunately, I had left the listing agreement at the office. This was back when there was some technology, but I couldn't readily at my fingertips or with my laptop give them the opportunity to electronically sign the listing agreement. I told them I apologize. I'll be back in less than an hour. 33 minutes later, I was back at their home, walked in and said, I apologize. Here are the listing agreements. And lo and behold, they had second thoughts. They didn't think they wanted to list the home anymore. Seller's remorse, I can't tell you psychologically exactly what happened, but I can tell you that had I had the listing agreement with me and had they signed it, the outcome would have been very, very different. Always, always, if it's electronic, have it ready to go in your phone or your portable computer. If it's on paper, have it with you in the folder or one of the folders that you take on the listing agreement.